Hello guys, Luna here. Welcome to my top 5 tips video for helping you guys build yourself better modern houses. In this video, this is just specifically for modern houses, but if you want to learn how to build just houses in general, check out the description below for my previous video, top 5 tips for building better house in Minecraft. Now, if you're on PC, the first thing you should do is download Flows HD, because every single modern builder who builds modern houses pretty much uses this texture pack. You don't have to use it, but I highly recommend it. And if you're on console, then you can use the city texture pack, the plastic texture packs. Those are the ones I used to use. But whatever one you choose, it's definitely worth getting a good texture pack for helping you out on your builds. Alright, so the first tip is going to be choosing your color combinations for your modern build. We're going to choose one from each of these sections. This one here is just an extra, but basically for every modern house you're going to want to choose a white, because 99% of all modern builds incorporate this into them. You're going to want to choose some kind of wood, and then some kind of stone or dark color. So for this, we're just going to go with a classic combination. We've got white wool. If you're using snow, the good thing about snow is you get the little tiny slabs of snow, which can help you get different size blocks like this. You see, it's just slightly taller, but it does make a difference, especially if you're building things like fences with them. Okay, you're going to want to choose wood. I like the spruce wood planks. I always choose that for all my builds because I like the contrast between the white and the dark. If you're on PC, I'm going to use cobblestone if you're using Flows HD, because it's the best looking one. If you're on console, then you can use stone bricks. That's what I would use. All these other blocks, you can choose whatever combination you want. You know, you could choose snow, that, and granite. They all work out the same. For these are just extra. We will talk about those in a second. But basically, you're going to want to choose your color combination. Okay, and I will just show you right here the way that it will look when you build. You know, that's looking pretty good already. Little window. You see, this is a good combination of colors. It's kind of like the default one if you're using this texture pack. And already we have a tiny little but decent looking modern house. For the colors are difficult to incorporate into a modern build, especially if you're not used to it. But what I recommend for these, if you were struggling to build them in your build, is if we go over here and take a look, you can incorporate them into the exterior of your build just on things like this, sun loungers, these chairs. That's what I've done. And although they're not in the build, you can still see them, and it kind of brightens up your whole build. It does make a difference. Alright, now that step 1 is done, you're going to want to go on to step 2, which is the shape of your house. Now, the one thing you want to avoid is just building something like this. You don't want it to be square or just a plain rectangle, because it's modern build, you're free to go with whatever shape you want. If you're building medieval, then it's supposed to be more of a classic kind of house shape. But with modern, you can go with whatever shape you want and it will still look good. So we're going to avoid that. So, as you can see here, we've gone with kind of still the classic rectangular shape, but we've altered it a bit. We've narrowed down this part. I've made this part here circular, and I've even added on a separate extension part for a garage. And as you can see over here, that is actually the shape of this modern house here. Okay, so it's still kind of basic, but it looks good. And of course, you can make the build in whatever shape you want. You can make it a cross. If you watched my previous modern build, we had an L shape for our modern beach house. But you can make it whatever shape you want. Here's just a random design. Step number 3 is going to be the design and the walls, the roof, etc. of your house. Now, as you can see here, you don't want to just have basic flat walls. They can work for certain builds, but for this one here, for example, I've gone with kind of constant arches that go up and down and incorporate the different colors. It adds a lot of detail and depth to your build. It's definitely more interesting to look at than just having a flat wall. But of course, you don't have to go with that design. You can go with loads of other ones. Over here we have just a basic A-frame house. It still works out. We're basically using the roof as the walls. And again, it looks pretty good. However guys, if you're planning on making more of a flat wall, then you're going to want to avoid doing this, which is making an entire wall just kind of one texture and just out of one material. If you're going to do it, you should try and break up your walls into sections like I've done here. And on every section, you can separate again. I've used different colors of glass just to keep the detail interesting. I've even added in this border of spruce wood planks or slabs to again add in more detail. Alright guys, step number 4 is going to be your interior. If you want to have an amazing looking modern build, you don't want to leave your interior undone. Now here is an interior of a modern house that I built a couple of years ago. It's not quite as good as one I could build now, but it's still pretty good looking. So I went with an open plan. I've basically separated the rooms using the flooring and filled up the space with this rug here. So that's a good idea for your interior. And we just have all the basic things: our living room, our kitchen, we've got a small dining room here. And then don't forget to add in some other cool features, like a garage for example. Here's a car being built called Minecar. Okay, and the thing that makes up your interior is all the details. Don't forget to try and think of your own house and think of a way to incorporate every single thing into it that you can think of. Now this one is missing some detail because I built this on Xbox and I had a lot of the detail with paintings from the city texture pack. Alright guys, and the final step is going to be your garden. Don't just leave your house on its own. You can incorporate some cool designs to make your house complete. Like we have the driveway here, just adding in some trees and walls and plants, you can make a real big difference. Also, you can add in all of kind of the classic things, a swimming pool, we've got some sun loungers, and over here we have a little seating area with a barbecue. Now this is just a basic example. On this build I've gone a step further. I built an entire cave for the garden and turned it into a waterfall for the swimming pool. And we have all the same things, the sun loungers and the barbecue and stuff, but we've just gone on a bigger scale. And again, as you can see here at the Playboy Mansion, we've done the exact same thing, again, just on a bigger scale. So it works no matter how big a build you're planning on making. However, you don't have to stick with that design. You can go with any one you want. This one here, I've gone for a more rustic, overgrown kind of jungle feel to this back garden. So we've got our pond, our jungle trees, we have a little tree house up there, and then over here we have ourselves a greenhouse where we've got crops and some animals out the back. So guys, I hope you learned something useful in those top 5 tips for helping you build modern builds. Now those are just the 5 steps that I follow to build my own modern builds. However, there's lots more that you can follow. However, really the best way to get better at building modern houses is just to practice building. Even if it's just to copy someone else's build, you can still get a feel for how modern builds are built. Okay guys, I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and also leave your feedback for the video in the comments below. Okay guys, see you next time for another top 5 tips.